Good afternoon. Today we have assembled here at the Wicomico County Sheriff's Office to provide the public with an update on the horse rescue operation taking place on Cherry Walk Road here in Wicomico County. Seated to my immediate right, your left, is Wicomico County State's Attorney Jamie Dykes. I'd like to thank each of you for being here today to cover what we collectively believe is a heartbreaking case of irresponsibility and incompetence on behalf of a Wicomico County horse owner. A case in which a local farmer, a resident of western Wicomico County, allowed her love and passion for horses to grow to an unmanageable level. This latest case began last Friday when WBOC reporter Bill Mitch arrived at my office for a pre-arranged interview on the opioid crisis in our region. While in my office, Bill directed my attention to a live feed displayed on his cell phone from WBOC's Chopper 16, who was flying over a horse farm on Cherry Walk Road in Wicomico County. The images shown on this live feed were just as shocking to me as they were to everyone in this room and to the hundreds of thousands who have now viewed it worldwide. I immediately turned to Lieutenant Robinson and asked him if we had deputies en route to the scene. I was assured we did. I also immediately knew this had to be the Pilchard farm, as we had been there dozens of times before for complaints of loose horses roaming the roadway and in the neighbors' yards. Following the conclusion of my interview, and after a telephone conversation with Lieutenant Robinson, Chief Deputy Gary Baker and I responded to the scene located at 6550 Cherry Walk Road. It was in fact the home of Paige and Barbara Pilchard. While this would be my first visit to the home, Wicomico County Sheriff's deputies have responded to this home at least 81 times in the past 5 years. The overwhelming majority of those complaints have been for loose horses in the roadway, neighbors' yards, in their flower beds, and in their vegetable gardens. In each of those cases, deputies documented their efforts to resolve the primary issue of horses roaming the roadway in nearby properties adjacent to the 150-acre farm owned by Mr. and Mrs. Pilchard. In each of these cases, deputies made contact with, or attempted to make contact with, Mr. and Mrs. Pilchard in an effort to re-secure these horses. On one previous occasion, we were joined by the state's attorney for Wicomico County in an effort to make sure we were doing everything to ensure the safety and well-being of those horses on the farm, and that we were exploring all possible avenues to hold the farm owner accountable and prevent the unnecessary treatment of these horses, and to prefer any criminal charges if applicable. On 4 separate occasions, frustrated with the homeowner's apparent inability to keep these animals corralled, criminal citations or summonses were issued for illegal dumping. The illegal dumping would be the horse feces deposited in neighbors' yards and on a county roadway. That alone shows you the extent we went to try to hold this farm owner, this horse owner, and her livestock accountable for their actions. The Wicomico County Sheriff's Office has charged Barbara Pilchard on 5 separate occasions surrounding these loose horses. In each case, she had to appear in court. She ultimately pled guilty to one of these criminal citations and received a suspended 30-day sentence and a period of probation. This conviction was in April of 2016. On at least one previous occasion, 2015, per our request, during an inspection of the Pilchard's property conducted by the Maryland Department of Agriculture, a report by the MDA resulted in several recommendations to address the conditions of 6 horses considered to be showing signs of neglect from inadequate feed or veterinary care. These were 6 of approximately 100 horses on the farm. Working with the Wicomico County Humane Society, the Sheriff's Office monitored immediate intervention to ensure proper nutrition and veterinary care were being provided to those horses on the Pilchard property. Under the previous directorship at the Wicomico Humane Society, we were advised that recommendations made by the MDA were being implemented and were in compliance with industry standards. Per our request, we had the State of Maryland State Veterinarian Joe Chapman and the Executive Director of Maryland's Horse Industry Board, Ross Petticord, assisting in this inspection and providing recommendations and solutions in addressing the Cherry Walk Road horse farm. This included working closely with farmers and planters Sue White and her staff here in Salisbury to ensure that Mrs. Pilchard was purchasing horse feed and that sufficient hay was being stored on this farm. In conclusion, this particular case has captured our nation's attention. Like most of you in this room, I've received emails and phone calls from across this nation from animal lovers just like us, those who wanted to help. It is heartbreaking to say the least. We love our animals, but one thing is abundantly clear. Not everyone cares for animals in the same manner. What may seem perfectly acceptable to some is hardly acceptable to others. I want to say thank you to everyone who has reached out to the Wicomico County Sheriff's Office, the Wicomico County Humane Society, and to the Pilchard family. For those wanting to donate or raise money for those beautiful animals who have been rescued from the Pilchard farm and will continue to be rescued from the Pilchard farm, please funnel your donations to the Wicomico County Humane Society with a special notation, bless our horses.